Welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend just a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride.
And before we get it's so great to have Grant along for the ride. It just reminds me of like classic Card Talk where we were doing these shows back before the game. It was still developing back when the game was still developing new content and it's good. Anyways, before we get into the card today, let's talk a little bit about how you out there, the listener, can stay in contact or help support Card Talk. We have a blog. Matt Cat Attack 22 stays up with all the cards that we talk about at the pod. He's over at the blog reviewing the card pool one card at a time, and whatever card we do on the pod, he does it on the blog. So you can see us over there at cardtalk2018.com. We have Micah's doing Second Breakfast, so every other week or so he does a live or a playthrough. He's still working out the live part of it. I think he moved to a little bit more rural Canada, if that's possible. Sorry, Mike. And he's still working out the live part of it. But he still posts every couple of weeks a deck building challenge and a scenario and things like that. And he posts that on our YouTube channel. We have an email address if you want to talk to any of us. We can be reached at cardtalk2018@gmail.com. And then lastly, but certainly not least, if you want to help keep the lights on at the pod or the keyboard clacking over at the blog, you can help support us on Patreon, patreon.com/cardtalk2018. Grant, that was a lot, but let's start talking about the card. What is the card we're going to talk about today?
Well, we're going to light up people's lives today.
Are we really? I don't think we are.
Come on, I had to do something with
I
that.
know, Ted. Channeling our inner Ted, right?
We are going to talk about the 2-cost spirit event from the core set, A Light in the Dark, which has action. Choose an enemy, engage with the player, return that enemy to the staging area.
Yeah, great. Okay. That's done. Well, everybody, join us next week. No, I'm just kidding. But, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about this card. I mean, I'll channel my inner Ted and say that, of course, this card has a place in the card pool. But I think it quickly gets diminished and even outshined early on, even by Feint. I mean, if you think about the Feint core set card, 1 cost, combat action, cancel an enemy attack. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it says, but that's the gist of it. And this is a 2-cost card that basically cancels an attack or returns an enemy to the staging area. So, I mean, the only possible case that I see this is if you're running, Grant, this is like right up your alley. If you're running your Done Here Duck Shoot deck and you need another way to push enemies back up into the staging area, this is a 2-cost thing. I just think it's like overcost, and it's almost like a treachery. Like I know Cardboard of the Rings has lately been going over cards that are like practically treacheries, but it's like, because this doesn't even keep it engaged with you, so next round you're going to have to deal with its threat. So like if it is something, if it's a Nazgul, right? A Black Rider, you're still going to have to deal with that huge threat next round. So I don't know. It's not very good. Grant, I've talked a lot. Tell me, what do you think?
I agree, it's overcosted, and personally I would have preferred to see another line saying something along the lines of does not contribute its threat the next round, the next staging, or re-engages you at the end of the round, so you don't actually have to deal with it in the staging the next round. For the 2 cost. But does it have a place in the card pool? Yeah. Have I used it since the core set's been released? No. Even in my Done Here Duck Shoot deck, I don't think I ran it because it was just, I looked at it and it was just like, it could work, but there's better options for what I want to do.
Right.
But could it be useful? Potentially. I'm just trying to think of a quest where you have to clear all enemies engaged with you, and you could just last turn, and you've got plenty of resources for one enemy left. Just play Light in the Dark, return that enemy to the staging area. There's no enemies left. You're free and clear.
Yeah.
I just can't. I know there's a couple of quests like that. I just can't remember them off the top of my head.
Yeah. I can't. I know. Let's see. Umbar. I guess that's get rid of all enemies, like enemies in play or whatever. But I don't know. It's I'm just not. I'm just not a fan. I mean, I guess it would work with traps if you put out a trap, but I would suggest, I mean, I've tried to build a trap deck, and I would suggest that Spirit is not the off sphere that you're playing with traps. It's usually tactics and lore, so this would have to go into a support deck for traps. Yeah, so I just don't.
And even then, it's very highly costed to just put in for a support.
Yeah, like the 2 cost is really like to get something that still kind of penalizes you. You know, like it's just
because you can't even run. They'll want to reduce their threat more than they'll want to bounce enemies back to the staging area.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, if you're playing Spirit, but I don't know. I mean, I guess there's a case where, again, if you're playing a support deck, and Haldir is the hero in the maybe a trap deck or maybe something else, and like somebody you optionally engage something so that the Haldir player doesn't need to engage it, and then you want to push it back into the staging area, and then Haldir can snipe it. I mean, but I just feel like that's, I don't know. I just don't see a lot of use case for this. I mean, I will say this, in the core set, it is a good option if you're running Spirit and you just don't want to deal with an enemy. You know, like you need one more round to, maybe reduce your threat. You can, you're at 30 threat. You're going to pull the hill troll back, and so you pull the hill troll down toward you, and then you decide that you're going to push it back into the staging area, and then next round you have more resources to deal with something or lower your threat or something like that within Spirit. I don't know, but I mean, I think I'm grasping at straws for use cases for this, and so I don't really see this card hitting the table very often. Having said that, I'm gonna build a Done Here Duck Shoot deck where I use this card to its fullest extent, and then I'm gonna Dwarven Tomb it back into my hand, and then use it.
Yeah, okay. Again. Let us know how that goes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like options, like what does Fastrid do? You defend an enemy, you put it back in the staging area, and that's a hero that's already doing that.
Yeah.
So instead of running a light in the dark, run fast red. I don't
Yep.
know.
What do you think of the art?
Thanks for moving me along. I think it's okay. I can't tell if this is supposed to be Aragorn or Boromir.
I think it's meant to be Boromir.
Yeah, and then
The guy's got red hair. I think it's meant to be Boromir.
is it red or is it just the torch reflecting off his hair?
Yeah, but if it was darker, it wouldn't appear orange.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know that Boromir was Irish.
Who knows? It's Tolkien.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
But I'm guessing.
I mean, I like it, but it's just not.
It doesn't scream play me.
No, and then it's like there's a little dagger in his right hand there, and you know what kind of vibes this gave me was Spirit Aragorn vibes, where the Torchagorn is what we call him in the community, where he's holding the torch way up by the top. I feel like this is like that card was a call out to this card. Maybe not, but
it's highly possible.
Different artists though, so I don't know. But it's definitely in a forest. It's in Mirkwood. I don't know. I don't love the art.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I'm on the fence about the art.
Yeah.
Are we ready to ring this card?
Yes. So for anybody who doesn't know or this may be your first episode, we have a highly scientific yet arbitrary system where we ring a card on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is the one card to rule them all, or one of the best cards in the game, and a 10 is the card that we throw back into the fiery chasm from whence it came, or a not very good card in the game. So, Grant, you've been on sabbatical for a little while. I'm sure you've studied this card in depth during your sabbatical.
Definitely. I have pages and pages of data regarding this card.
Yeah. So what's the verdict on this card?
I'm giving it an 8.
Okay.
Because there are some very niche cages of use. But generally speaking, it's not used in many decks, and it's certainly not used in any of mine since the core set came out.
Yeah. I agree. Sorry,
I'm close to giving it a 9, but those very few and far between use cases, I'm giving it an 8.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 9 because I just don't see this card being useful. I just don't. If you're going to cancel an attack, you use Feint. 2 cost too much. It's just, I don't know. It's just not a card that, I like the intention of the card, but I think that it's just
the implementations.
Yeah, just too much. If this were 0 or even 1, there's no half resources in the game, Grant. No halves. It's just all, But
you know what? I'm going to give this an 8.5 for that.
Yeah. Yeah. But if this was a 1 cost or a no cost, or even if it was like one of those 0 cost Sylvan events where you bring a Sylvan back to your hand and push the enemy into the staging area or something,
I could see that you're bringing an ally back, but because of the fact that mechanic hadn't been implemented yet.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So this is a 9 to me. I don't know. It's not a very good. Yeah, not a very good card. So,
Ted, here's a challenge for you. Come on and do a review of Light in the Dark. Let's see where we went wrong.
Yeah. I mean, he's just gonna say the same things that I say. So, Okay, everybody. Well, join us again next week as we talk about another core set card in the game. Have a great day.
Do you love the content? Here's what you can do to stay connected. Become a patron. The money collected through Patreon goes into keeping the lights on here at the podcast. We love our patrons, and you can join at many different levels. Visit patreon.com/cardtalk2018. You can subscribe to us, whether you're watching our YouTube channel or you're listening to us in your favorite podcatcher. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications of all our new episodes. Didn't know we were an audio podcast? Find us by searching Card Talk to get access to our 120 plus regular episodes. Didn't know we were a video channel? Find us by searching Card Talk LOTR LCG on YouTube. And there you can find not only our regular episodes, but you can find our bonus playthroughs and other content related to the game. Want to get a hold of Ted, Grant, or myself? Feel free to email the podcast at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.